So today we're going to be talking about grief, and it's not uncommon to be grieving your sport after you finish it, whether you were a professional or a high school athlete, a college athlete. It's definitely not uncommon to feel like you are losing parts of yourself as you're done with your sport. On this channel, we've talked a lot about identity, and so I will link that video above and below. But ultimately, you might have a lot of your identity wrapped up in your sport, and that is not uncommon. You played it for so long at this point, and now that it's no longer in your life, something that you've done for so long, it can be hard to process through those emotions. Today we're going to be talking all about that, some of the things that you may be grieving, and the fact that it's not uncommon. You should not feel weird about it at all, and we're just going to dive into that. So the first thing that you may be grieving is that your career did not go as planned, and I think that this is actually a lot of former college athletes. You may have gone in as a highly recruited athlete and just not really panned out. You may not have gotten enough playing time. It may not have been a good program for you. It just, like, what you thought your college experience would have been as a college athlete and what you really wanted to do with your career did not pan out. And that is not uncommon. That's actually a lot of my story, and I'll get into my story on a different video, but yeah, it just doesn't pan out. And ultimately, you will go on to do such awesome things in your life. And so if you're even grieving that now, I think it's almost a good lesson to be learned. I know that's not what you want to hear, but there are things in your life that will not pan out the way that you think it will. And for you to be able to move through this season of your life where that's happening and make it through, like you'll make it through just fine. You'll start to learn that, like, oh, okay, I can first of all do hard things. Like, grieving through that process is hard, but even though it didn't go the way I thought it would, I learned a lot from that situation, and I'm a much better person having gone through that now. Like, I survived it, and I think the skills that you learn in that process are really important. So it's not for nothing. You're still learning a lot through this process. I know it can be kind of painful, but ultimately you are still getting better from it, and that's what matters. The second thing you can be grieving is the loss of your sport, the fact that it's ended. And this is, I see two different camps of people in this, because you get the people who knew their eligibility was coming to an end. You have 4 years, you know that the fourth year is coming and it'll go, and that your sport is ending. And while you still may be preparing for that, it can be a hard transition to understand that, like, okay, it's over. Like, I'm not getting those 4 years back. This might have been my last opportunity to play in general, play my sport competitively in the way that I want to at such a high level. And so that is a hard thing to process through. On the other end, you have those athletes that had career-ending injuries, and those come out of nowhere. And all of a sudden now you can't play your sport because it's not healthy for you. Doctors are saying it's not the best idea for you. And that is, I think, a really hard situation to be in. I fortunately did not have any career-ending injuries or any really major injuries during my time playing sports, but I have a lot of friends who did have to make the tough decision to choose their health over their sport and have their career come to an end kind of abruptly. This grief in particular can be a really heavy one, whether you were injured or it just came to an end. So in all of this, I recommend that you seek out professional help, whether it's a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever works for you. But get the help that you need to be able to shift and move through this season. Grief can be heavy. It looks different for everyone, and I don't want you to feel weird that you are grieving and it's taking longer than it is for another person, or you're just taking it harder than someone else. That is normal. It's your process, but I think it's really helpful to seek out help from a professional that can help you move through this season. Number 3, not being able to go pro. Now, on the women's side, I feel like it's kind of a toss-up. Like, you might want to go overseas to go pro. I feel like there's not as many opportunities to go pro for women in the way that there is for men. Like, the pay is not as good, and so not being able to go pro for women, I think a lot of women are actually more prepared for this. But with that said, there are some women that do want to go pro, and along the way you get cut and things like that, and that can be really tough. I see this really happening on the men's side, where you are looking to go pro in your sport. You're going through combines, you're training, and then things just fall flat. Like, you don't get picked up by a team, or you get cut like really soon after, and that alone is devastating and can really take a toll on your mental health. So I really want to tell you to just take it easy on yourself, show yourself some grace. This season, again, can be hard. It's pretty emotional as you're putting down something that you have put so much time into for a lot of your life. And so, again, seek out the help you need. Find solidarity in a community that you already have, whether it's friends and family, if you have that supportive group around you. And if you don't, again, I think a professional is always helpful. With that said, while I push professionals, I don't think professionals are the only way for you to get help and support in this area. So again, if you do have family and friends that can help you work through your thoughts in this season of life as you're trying to figure out what you're going to do after sport, how you're grieving the sport, and how you may want to get involved with it later on, I think seeking out that help from family and friends is really helpful as well. And then the fourth and final thing that I have in terms of things that you can be grieving is team camaraderie. Oh man, like this is something I was not prepared for. I played basketball my whole life and it's a team sport, obviously. And so I was always around teammates that I loved, teammates that I cared about, that they were always with me during the hard times of conditioning that I hated and during like the fun games that we were winning and just things like that. It's just so much fun to go into the locker room and banter with them and just like have a good time. But when you're done with your sport, you don't have that anymore. Like you may still be in college and you can see your teammates often, you have a good relationship with them, but kind of as soon as you move away from college, relationships can kind of get interesting. You realize that like everyone's grown and has their own things going on. Life is happening for everybody individually, and so you have to create space for that. Some friendships were just temporary in the sense of it was more about proximity than like actual connection. And so you're working through all of that, and that can be so hard and honestly kind of heartbreaking as you realize like it's just not going to be the same. And that's perfectly fine. If you are grieving that, I'm right there with you. I've definitely had to go through that, and it can be tough, but at the end of the day you do realize that this is just part of your growing process and that there are other ways to create community similar to teams outside of your team. So if you'd like a video on how to do that, please comment down below. I can definitely create a video for that. I think that there are some awesome ways to kind of create camaraderie and community that don't necessarily involve a team, but have similar traits to a team. So if you are grieving at all, I want to say that my heart goes out to you. I understand that it is so hard to just call it quits with a sport that you have done for so long, and not to say that you can't get involved at a recreational level, but we all know that like some of us are really competitive and we want to be at the highest level. So take some time, be gracious with yourself, seek out professional help, seek out a good community around you, and I'm sure you'll get through it. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you could resonate with it, that you could just find it applicable to your life. And if you did, I hope that you can hit the like button and the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification, so you don't miss a video from me. I post on Thursdays and some Sundays around similar content to what we just talked about.